Prophet Musa embarks on a mysterious journey with the enigmatic Khidr, a man whose actions seem both baffling and cruel. As they travel together, Prophet Musa witnesses events that shake his understanding of justice, mercy, and fate, each action a puzzle he struggles to solve. With every step, the tension between questioning the unknown and trusting in God's will deepens. Will Prophet Musa ever understand the hidden wisdom behind Khidr's choices, or will he be lost in the mystery? The answers, though painful, could change everything Prophet Musa thought he knew about life, faith, and divine purpose. Before we get down to the complete story, can you tell us where you're watching this video from? We want to make sure that the gospel of Allah be spread across all nations. The great prophet stood on the edge of the wilderness, his heart heavy with a burning question that had been troubling him for some time. He was known far and wide as one of the greatest men of wisdom, a leader of the people, and the prophet who spoke directly to God. Yet, deep inside, he felt there was still something he did not know, something hidden just beyond his reach. "You are the wisest of all men," God had once told him. "But there is one among you who has knowledge even greater than yours." That one line had haunted Prophet Musa for days, weeks, even months. How could anyone have wisdom greater than his own? Was there someone else who could answer the questions he had not yet found answers to? Was there someone who understood the deeper truths of the universe, the mysteries of life, that even Prophet Musa could not comprehend? The thought kept him awake at night. There had to be someone, somewhere, who held the answers he sought. And so, Prophet Musa set out, leaving behind his people, leaving behind the comfort of his knowledge, to find the man who was said to possess wisdom beyond measure. Prophet Musa traveled for days, through scorching heat and biting winds, never once turning back. He crossed dry rivers and climbed steep mountains, following the faint whispers that spoke of a wise man living far away, someone known only as Khidr. His name echoed in Moses' mind, as if it was a key that could unlock the door to the deepest secrets of the universe. Finally, after what seemed like an endless journey, Prophet Musa arrived at a place near the sea, where the water met the land in a calm embrace. And there, standing by the shore, was a man. He was unlike anyone Prophet Musa had ever seen. His eyes were calm and deep, like the sea itself, and his presence was both mysterious and powerful. This was Khidr. Prophet Musa approached him slowly, his heart racing with excitement and curiosity. This was the man who held the knowledge that Prophet Musa had been searching for, the one who had been chosen by God to carry a wisdom that surpassed all others. But would he share that wisdom with Prophet Musa? Would he even speak to him? As Prophet Musa stepped closer, Khidr looked up, and their eyes met. Without a word, Khidr nodded, as if he had been expecting Moses all along. "Are you the one?" Prophet Musa asked, his voice trembling slightly. "The one who has knowledge that no one else possesses." Khidr did not answer right away. Instead, he simply gestured for Prophet Musa to sit beside him. They sat in silence for a few moments, the sounds of the waves gently lapping against the shore filling the air. Prophet Musa could not contain his excitement any longer. "I have come from far away," he said. "I have traveled through deserts and mountains, seeking the knowledge that you hold. Please, teach me. I am ready to learn whatever you have to offer." Khidr's gaze was calm, unblinking. He studied Moses with a depth that made Prophet Musa feel as though he was being seen through and through. After a moment, Khidr spoke, his voice quiet but powerful. "I will teach you," he said. "But first, you must promise me one thing: you must not question what I do. You must not try to understand my actions, for my wisdom comes from a source far beyond what you can see. You must trust that everything I do has a purpose, even if it seems strange or confusing." Prophet Musa felt a wave of doubt rush over him. Could he really do this? Could he follow someone without knowing where they were going, without questioning their actions? Prophet Musa had always been someone who asked questions, who sought answers. To follow blindly would be difficult for him. But there was something in Khidr's eyes, something that told Prophet Musa this was no ordinary man. This was a person who had glimpsed the deeper truths of existence, a person who had seen things Prophet Musa could only imagine. And so, after a moment of hesitation, Prophet Musa nodded. "I promise," he said. "I will not question you." Khidr gave him a small smile, as if pleased with Prophet Musa's commitment. "Good," he said. "Then we will begin." The air was thick with anticipation as Prophet Musa and Khidr set out on their journey. The ground beneath their feet was dry and cracked, and the only sound that filled the silence was the soft whisper of the wind sweeping through the barren landscape. Prophet Musa was filled with questions, his mind racing with curiosity. He had come so far to meet this man, this wise figure who held knowledge that Prophet Musa had never even imagined. But now, as they walked side by side, Prophet Musa felt the weight of uncertainty. What would happen next? What would he learn from this strange man? Khidr, on the other hand, walked with a quiet calm, his gaze steady and unwavering. He moved like a man who knew the world, who had seen things that Prophet Musa could not begin to understand. The Prophet's heart beat faster with each step they took together, knowing that this was the beginning of something extraordinary. But he still could not shake the feeling that something far beyond his comprehension was about to unfold. They traveled for hours, with Prophet Musa remaining silent, waiting for Khidr to speak. The sun hung high in the sky, its heat bearing down on them, but Khidr seemed unaffected by it, moving effortlessly across the land. Prophet Musa, however, began to feel the weight of exhaustion pressing down on him. He had not realized how hard the journey would be. Yet, as he glanced at Khidr, he noticed that the man did not seem tired at all. It was as if he was immune to the weariness that affected everyone else. Prophet Musa could not hold back any longer. He turned to Khidr, his voice trembling with the eagerness to know more. "Where are we going?" Prophet Musa asked, his eyes wide with expectation. "What is the purpose of this journey?" Khidr's lips curled into a small smile, but his eyes remained as distant as ever. He did not answer immediately, he stepped steady and unhurried. Prophet Musa, growing more impatient by the second, pressed on. "I've followed you this far," Prophet Musa said. "I've promised not to question you, but I need to understand. Why are we walking without knowing the destination? What is it that you want to teach me?" Khidr stopped in his tracks, and Prophet Musa, feeling both frustration and awe, stopped as well. The silence between them seemed to stretch on forever, like the stillness of the desert before a storm. Finally, Khidr turned his head slightly, his gaze piercing through Prophet Musa. "You must trust," Khidr said, his voice soft but powerful. "Trust that every step we take is part of a greater plan. You will learn soon enough. But first, you must accept that your understanding is limited." Prophet Musa stood there, struggling to accept the challenge. His mind was always working, always seeking answers. He had been chosen by God to lead his people, to bring them out of slavery and into freedom. He had been given the strength to face Pharaoh, the wisdom to guide his people through the wilderness. But here, walking beside Khidr, he felt as though he knew nothing. The weight of his uncertainty grew heavier with each step. As they continued their journey, the landscape slowly began to change. The dry, barren land gave way to a small village nestled by the side of a river. The people there were humble, living simple lives, but they did not seem to notice Moses and Khidr as they approached. They passed by the village without a word, and Moses followed Khidr in silence, curious about what was to come next. And then it happened. Suddenly, as they were walking past a small boat by the river, Khidr did something that shocked Prophet Musa to his core. Without warning, he reached down and made a hole in the side of the boat, causing water to pour in. The boat began to sink. Prophet Musa froze in disbelief, his mouth going dry. "What are you doing?" he shouted. "Why would you destroy this boat? It's meant to help people. What harm have they done to you?" Khidr remained calm as ever, his face unreadable. He didn't answer right away, his eyes focused on the sinking boat. Moses, overwhelmed by the injustice he perceived, asked again, "Why would you do such a thing? These people need that boat." But Khidr only turned to Prophet Musa, his eyes meeting his with a quiet intensity. "Patience, Prophet Musa," he said. "You will understand in time." The boat continued to sink, and Prophet Musa stood there, helpless, filled with anger and confusion. He wanted to demand answers, to shout at Khidr, but he remembered his promise. He had agreed not to question him, and yet his heart burned with the need to know why Khidr had done such a thing. Khidr's actions left Prophet Musa stunned and uncertain. The tension in the air grew thick, and Prophet Musa felt as if he were on the edge of a great revelation, one that he could not yet grasp. With every step, the mystery deepened, and Prophet Musa could feel himself being pulled into a story far greater than he could ever have imagined. As the two of them continued on, Prophet Musa could not shake the question that echoed in his mind: what was the purpose of all this? What would he learn from Khidr, and would he ever truly understand the wisdom of this strange, mysterious man? The journey had just begun, and Moses knew that the answers were still out there, waiting to be discovered. But what he didn't know was that this journey would test his faith, his patience, and his very understanding of the world around him. The sun was beginning to dip low in the sky, casting long shadows over the riverbank as Prophet Musa and Khidr walked silently beside the water. The sounds of the gentle current flowing over the rocks and the chirping of distant birds were the only things that filled the air. Prophet Musa, still lost in thought, kept his eyes on Khidr. The strange man who had not said much since their encounter now seemed even more distant than before. They had just passed the village, where Prophet Musa had been left in a state of confusion after Khidr's earlier actions. Now, it felt as though they were walking in a world that neither Prophet Musa nor anyone else could fully understand. But Prophet Musa couldn't help it, he had to know. The questions burned in his mind like a fire he couldn't put out. Suspense. What was Khidr thinking? What was his purpose? Why did he destroy the boat? As they walked along the river, Moses finally gathered enough courage to ask the question that had been tormenting him since the boat sank. Khidr, Prophet Musa began, his voice tense. Why did you destroy that boat? The people needed it. They relied on it to travel across the river, and you just destroyed it without a second thought. Khidr continued to walk without looking at Prophet Musa, his pace unhurried. There was no sign of anger in his face, only calmness, as if he had expected this very question. The air between them felt thick with the silence, each step adding to Moses' growing frustration. You promised me, Khidr said after a long pause, his voice calm, that you would not question me. I told you that you must be patient. Trust me, Prophet Musa. Prophet Musa felt his patience slipping. Trust you, he repeated, his heart pounding. How can I trust you when you do something so wrong? The people need that boat, and you just destroyed it. How is that just? How is that right? Khidr finally stopped, turning to face Prophet Musa. His eyes met Prophet Musa with such quiet intensity that Prophet Musa felt the weight of 1,000 unspoken words. For a long moment, Khidr did not speak. The tension between them was thick enough to feel in the air, and Moses could see the deep wisdom in Khidr's gaze, a wisdom that Prophet Musa could not yet understand. Let me explain, Khidr said softly, and Prophet Musa, eager for answers, listened closely. There was a cruel king who roams these lands, Khidr continued, his voice barely above a whisper. This king seizes boats. He takes them from the people to use them for his own purposes. He takes what is good for others and twists it to his own desires. If the boat had not been damaged, he would have taken it, and the people would have lost it. I destroyed the boat not to harm them, but to save it from the king. It was the only way to keep it safe. Prophet Musa stood there, his mind racing. Could it be true? Could there really be a king who would steal from innocent people, who would rob them of the very tools they needed to survive? The idea was so foreign to Moses, who had known only justice and righteousness. And yet, Khidr's calm assurance made him hesitate. But the people, Moses started, his voice trailing off as he struggled to reconcile the destruction with the greater good. Sometimes, Prophet Musa, Khidr said, his voice deep and quiet, you must sacrifice something small to save something far greater. The people will not see it now, but in time, they will understand. You, too, will understand. But first, you must trust in the wisdom of the unseen. Prophet Musa stood silently, the weight of Khidr's words sinking deep into his heart. He had been so sure of what was right, so certain that his way of thinking was the only correct one. But now, as he stood before Khidr, he realized that his understanding was limited. There were forces at work in the world that he could not see, and perhaps, just perhaps, there was wisdom in things he didn't yet understand. Patience, Prophet Musa, Khidr said again. Patience and trust. These are the keys to understanding. You will see in time, but not before. Prophet Musa nodded slowly, his heart heavy with the weight of what he had just learned. He did not fully understand yet, but he was beginning to realize that there was a much larger picture, one that he could not see with his limited perspective. He had promised to trust Khidr, and though it was difficult, he knew he must keep that promise. As they continued their journey, Moses felt a shift within himself. The question still swirled in his mind, but he began to wonder if the answers would come in their own time. Perhaps, just perhaps, he needed to stop trying to force the answers and allow them to unfold naturally. The journey was far from over, and Prophet Musa knew that the road ahead would be full of more challenges and more questions. But for the first time, he began to feel a sense of peace. Perhaps he did not need to understand everything immediately. Perhaps the answers would come when he was ready to receive them. But for now, all Prophet Musa could do was follow, trust, and wait for the next step in this strange and mysterious journey. The moon was now high in the sky, casting a silvery glow over the land. Prophet Musa and Khidr had continued walking in silence, their feet crunching softly over the dry earth. Prophet Musa had been lost in thought, his mind still wrestling with the events of the boat. How could something so destructive have such a noble purpose? Yet, a part of him still struggled to grasp the idea that some things were meant to be understood only with time. They had not spoken much since their encounter with the boat, and Prophet Musa had promised himself that he would not question Khidr again. He had to trust. He had to believe that each action, no matter how difficult to understand, was part of a larger plan. But just as the doubts began to fade, something happened that would shake Prophet Musa to his core and leave him wondering once again if he could truly follow Khidr without understanding everything. They approached a quiet town at the edge of a forest. The streets were empty, with no signs of life. The air was still, and the only sounds were the rustling of leaves and the distant call of birds. As they walked deeper into the village, Prophet Musa noticed a young boy standing near a well, alone. He was no more than 12 or 13, with dark eyes that seemed to be looking into something far beyond the horizon. The boy looked lost in thought, his expression distant. Suddenly, without warning, Khidr moved towards the boy. Moses watched, confused and anxious, as Khidr approached the child. But what happened next would send a shock through Prophet Musa's entire being. Khidr reached out and, in a swift motion, struck the boy, killing him instantly. Prophet Musa froze. His heart skipped a beat. His eyes widened in disbelief. He couldn't breathe for a moment. This was madness. Why would Khidr harm an innocent child? The boy had done nothing wrong. He had simply been standing there, alone and quiet. And now, he was lifeless. Khidr! What have you done? Prophet Musa shouted, his voice rising with panic and anger. Why did you kill him? He was just a boy. He didn't harm anyone. Khidr stood still, his expression unreadable. Prophet Musa could see the sadness in his eyes, but there was no sign of regret. It was as if the act had been necessary, even if Prophet Musa couldn't see why. For a long moment, neither spoke. The silence between them felt unbearable. The calmness of Khidr only seemed to deepen Prophet Musa's distress. Finally, Khidr turned to Prophet Musa and spoke in a voice as soft as the evening breeze. Prophet Musa, he began, you do not understand the wisdom behind this. The boy's life was one that would have caused great grief and suffering to his parents. He would have grown up to bring them endless pain and heartache. His death, though painful now, is a mercy. A mercy they will not see today, but in time they will understand why it was necessary. Prophet Musa stood there, stunned, as the words sank in. He could not wrap his mind around it. How could this death be an act of mercy? How could killing an innocent boy ever be justified? His heart ached for the boy, for his parents, who would never see their child again. You must trust, Khidr continued. Sometimes, what seems like cruelty is actually the greatest form of compassion. The boy would have lived a life full of hardships. He would have brought his parents pain beyond measure. His death is not an end, but a beginning of peace for his family. Prophet Musa could feel the weight of Khidr's words, but the confusion in his heart was heavy. The idea that one could make such a choice, to end a life to save others, was beyond his understanding. He had witnessed the suffering of his people, but this was different. This was not a battle against oppression or injustice. This was something far more personal, something deeper. Prophet Musa felt the pull of doubt and anger rise within him. But how can you be so sure, he asked, his voice trembling with emotion. How can you know that this is what the boy's parents needed? How can you make such a decision without their consent? Khidr did not flinch. His gaze was steady, and his words were calm but firm. You see only the surface of things, Prophet Musa. You see the boy, and you see his parents' grief, but you do not see the future. You do not see the pain that would have come, the suffering that would have followed. The wisdom of God is far beyond what we can comprehend. What you call wrong may, in fact, be the greatest act of mercy. What seems cruel may be a hidden kindness. Prophet Musa stood silent, his heart torn. He could not see it, he could not see the wisdom in such an act. But he knew one thing for sure, Khidr's actions were always deliberate, always purposeful, and there was always a deeper reason behind them. Whether he understood it or not, he was being asked to trust. For the first time on this journey, Prophet Musa realized that his understanding of right and wrong, of life and death, was far more limited than he had ever imagined. Perhaps there was more to learn, more to see, and more to understand. And yet, as the night sky stretched above them, the weight of the question still hung in the air. Would Prophet Musa ever truly understand the wisdom of Khidr, or was he destined to walk this path of uncertainty forever? The air was thick with an uneasy tension as Prophet Musa and Khidr walked through the deserted village. The quietness of the place was almost eerie, as though time itself had forgotten this place. The only sounds were the faint rustling of the wind through the dry trees and the distant chirping of birds. Prophet Musa was still shaken from the shocking events he had witnessed, the boy's death. He hadn't been able to shake the image of the lifeless child, and the weight of it lingered heavily in his heart. Khidr walked beside him, his steps slow and steady, as if the world around him held no weight. Prophet Musa couldn't help but watch him, searching for any sign of the man's thoughts. But there was nothing. Khidr was a mystery, an enigma. Prophet Musa had no idea what the next step of this journey would hold, but one thing was certain: he was beginning to feel more and more like a passenger in this strange story, unable to understand or control the direction. As they walked deeper into the village, Khidr suddenly stopped and pointed ahead. Moses followed his gaze and saw an old, crumbling wall standing on the edge of the village. It was cracked and worn, leaning dangerously to one side. The wall seemed to be the only structure left untouched by time, as if it had stood for centuries, silently bearing witness to the passage of time. "We must fix this," Khidr said quietly, his voice as calm as always. Prophet Musa looked at the wall, confused. "Why? It's falling apart. What's the point of fixing it? It's beyond saving." Khidr's gaze never wavered. "You do not see what lies beneath." Prophet Musa frowned, unsure of what Khidr meant. But before he could ask, Khidr walked towards the wall and began to carefully place his hands on the crumbling stones. Prophet Musa, hesitant and unsure, stood back, watching in disbelief. It was as if Khidr had some unseen power, an ability to make the impossible seem easy. As he touched the wall, the stone shifted, and the crumbling structure seemed to hold itself together, as if it were being held up by some invisible force. The air around them seemed to grow heavier, the tension rising as Prophet Musa watched in awe. What was happening? Why was Khidr so intent on repairing this old, useless wall? Without warning, Khidr placed a final stone, and the wall suddenly seemed to stabilize. The once cracked and ruined structure was now standing firm, almost as if it had been restored to its original form. Prophet Musa was stunned. He had never seen anything like it. It was as though the wall had been transformed by an unseen hand. What was the point of fixing this? Prophet Musa asked, his voice filled with confusion. "This place is abandoned. The villagers have long since left. Why bother with a wall that no one will see?" Khidr remained silent for a long moment. Finally, he turned to Prophet Musa, his expression as calm as ever. "Beneath this wall lies a treasure," Khidr said softly, his eyes meeting Prophet Musa with a depth that sent a shiver down his spine. "Two orphan children lost their father, and under this very wall is their inheritance. It is hidden away for them, waiting for them to grow old enough to claim it. If the wall had fallen, the treasure would have been lost, and they would never have known the fortune that awaited them." Prophet Musa, a breath caught in his throat as the meaning of Khidr's words sank in. He had been so focused on the surface, the decay, the uselessness of the wall, that he had missed the truth beneath it. The wall, though old and broken, had served a purpose. It was protecting something precious, something that would change the lives of two children. The realization hit Prophet Musa like a wave. Sometimes, things appeared to be broken or pointless, but in truth, they were holding something valuable, something that could not be seen at first glance. Prophet Musa turned to Khidr, his mind racing. "But how could you know all of this? How could you know that this treasure existed beneath the wall? And how could you be sure that the children would even return to find it?" Khidr's gaze softened, and his lips curled into a faint smile. "I do not know the answers to everything, Prophet Musa. But I trust in God's wisdom. He guides my actions, even when I cannot see the full picture. This wall, like so many things, had a purpose, hidden from the eyes of most. But when the time comes, the children will find it, and they will be grateful for the mercy they didn't understand at first." Prophet Musa stood still, stunned by the depth of Khidr's words. He had seen so many things on this journey, things that had shaken his understanding of the world. But this was different. It was as if everything around him was part of a larger plan, one that only Khidr seemed to understand. The tension between them hung heavy in the air, but for the first time, Prophet Musa began to see what Khidr had been trying to teach him. Sometimes, things didn't make sense at first. Sometimes, they seemed like waste, like destruction, like loss. But in God's plan, there was purpose, even in the most unexpected places. Prophet Musa was beginning to understand, just a little. But he knew there was still much to learn. Much more would be revealed, and he wasn't sure if he was ready to face what came next. The journey had taken an unexpected turn. Moses walked beside Khidr, his mind filled with questions, his heart burdened by the mysteries that seemed to be unfolding at every step. They had seen the boat, the boy, and the wall. All actions that defied Prophet Musa understanding, yet all were deliberate and purposeful. But the weight of uncertainty pressed heavier on his chest with each passing day. What was the true purpose behind this journey? Was Khidr merely testing him, or was there something deeper that Moses had yet to grasp? As the day stretched into twilight, the two travelers arrived at a place that Prophet Musa recognized, a quiet clearing at the edge of the desert, where the sky met the horizon in a blazing display of red and gold. They had reached a stopping point for the night, and Prophet Musa felt a strange sense of anticipation in the air, as if something important was about to happen. Khidr, ever the picture of calm, turned to Moses with a quiet intensity. "Prophet Musa, it is time," he said, his voice low and steady. "Time for what?" Prophet Musa asked, his voice filled with curiosity and uncertainty. Khidr's eyes met Prophet Musa's with a piercing gaze. "Time to understand the truth behind everything that has happened. You have seen much, and now it is time for the lessons to be made clear." Prophet Musa's heart raced. He had been waiting for this moment, the moment when everything would finally make sense. His mind raced with all the events he had witnessed, the sinking boat, the boy's death, the repaired wall. Each act had left him more confused, yet here was Khidr, finally offering the answers Moses had been searching for. Khidr sat down on a large stone, motioning for Moses to join him. The desert wind whispered around them, the air growing cooler as the evening approached. "Let me explain," Khidr began, his voice calm but filled with a weight of knowledge that Prophet Musa could not ignore. "You have seen the boat, the boy, and the wall. To you, they seemed like acts of destruction, acts that went against your sense of justice. But there is something you did not see, something hidden from your eyes, something that only God knows." Prophet Musa listened intently, leaning forward, desperate for answers. "The boat," Khidr continued, "was a means of protecting the people who owned it. There was a tyrant king who would have stolen it for his own gain, leaving the people with nothing. By damaging it, I saved them from a greater loss. You did not see the future, Prophet Musa. You saw only the present. The boy you saw, his life was destined to bring great sorrow to his parents. They would have been consumed by grief, and his life would have caused them endless pain. But now, by taking his life, I spared them from that suffering." Prophet Musa's heart felt heavy as he absorbed Khidr's words. "And the wall?" he asked softly. "The wall," Khidr replied, "was meant to protect the treasure for two orphan children. Their father left them a hidden inheritance, and if the wall had fallen, the treasure would have been lost. In my action, I preserved it for them, so when they were old enough, they would find it and be blessed." Prophet Musa sat in stunned silence, his mind trying to process everything he had just heard. Each of Khidr's actions had been so difficult to understand, yet now, they seemed like pieces of a grand design, a design that Prophet Musa could not yet fully comprehend. Everything Khidr had done was for a greater good, for a future that Moses could not see. Khidr turned to him, his gaze steady. "The wisdom behind these actions comes from a place beyond human understanding, Prophet Musa. You saw only fragments of a greater plan. What seemed unjust or wrong was actually mercy in disguise. That is why you must trust. Trust in God's plan, even when you do not understand." Prophet Musa felt the weight of Khidr's words deep within him. He had questioned everything, each action, each decision. But now, for the first time, he understood that sometimes, the path to wisdom required patience and faith in something greater than what the eye could see. As the stars began to twinkle above them, Prophet Musa felt a sense of peace wash over him. He may not have all the answers, but he now knew that he didn't need to. The journey had taught him the value of trust, the power of patience, and the wisdom that lies beyond human understanding. The journey had been long, filled with challenges, lessons, and moments of deep reflection. Prophet Musa had learned more in the past few days than he could have ever imagined, about trust, patience, and the unseen wisdom of God. The events of the boat, the boy, the wall, and the treasure had tested his understanding of right and wrong, of life and death. But now, as they stood at the edge of their journey, Prophet Musa felt a profound sense of peace. They had arrived at a quiet place, away from the bustling world, where the earth met the sky in a perfect blend of colors. The air was still, and the silence between them felt like a sacred moment. For the first time in their travels, Prophet Musa and Khidr sat together, side by side, with no more questions left to ask. Prophet Musa had learned what he needed to learn, and the weight of uncertainty had lifted from his heart. Khidr turned to Prophet Musa, his expression serene. "Prophet Musa," he said softly, "you have come a long way. The wisdom you sought was not easy to grasp, but you have earned it. You now understand that there is much more to life than what meets the eye. You have seen the wisdom of God at work in ways that few will ever understand." Prophet Musa nodded, his heart full of gratitude. He had witnessed the power of patience, the importance of trusting in God's plan, even when it seemed confusing or unjust. He had seen that life was not always as it seemed, and that God's mercy and wisdom were often hidden beneath the surface. "Thank you, Khidr," Prophet Musa said, his voice filled with appreciation. "I understand now. I understand that there is wisdom even in the things that seem hard to bear. I see now that God's plan is always for the best, even when we don't understand it at the time." Khidr smiled, his eyes full of quiet wisdom. "You are ready, Moses. You have learned the most important lesson, that trusting God's will is the foundation of true wisdom. Now go, with the knowledge you have gained, and continue your journey. The world is waiting for you to lead, to guide your people with the wisdom that you have received." Prophet Musa stood up, his heart light, his spirit at peace. He knew that his journey with Khidr had come to an end, but his journey in life, his mission to guide his people, was just beginning. The lessons he had learned would stay with him, and he felt ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. With a final glance at Khidr, Prophet Musa smiled and said, "I will carry these lessons with me, always. I will trust in God's plan, and I will have patience, knowing that his wisdom is far greater than my own." Khidr nodded, his expression filled with pride. "Remember, Prophet Musa, that God's wisdom is infinite. Never stop seeking it, never stop trusting in it. Allah is always with you, guiding you." As Prophet Musa began his journey back, a feeling of peace settled in his heart. He had learned that no matter how difficult life became, he could always trust in Allah's plan. Even in moments of confusion, he would remember the wisdom of his journey with Khidr. Prophet Musa walked confidently, knowing that he was not alone. God's wisdom would always guide him, and Allah's mercy would always surround him. He could face the future with courage, for he now understood that the path of wisdom was not about having all the answers, but about trusting in the one who knew all. And so, with a heart full of gratitude, Prophet Musa raised his hands to the heavens and praised Allah, the most merciful, the all-wise, the creator of the heavens and the earth. His voice echoed through the quiet night, a prayer of thanks for the lessons learned, and for the guidance that would lead him through the trials yet to come. All praise is due to Allah, Lord of all the worlds. And with that, Prophet Musa continued his journey, filled with faith, patience, and trust in Allah's divine wisdom, ready to fulfill the great mission that lay ahead.